This is the NFL team preseason tier list, the definitive ranking of every team based on tiers. Starting things off at the bottom, we have the utter dog tier. This is the worst of the worst, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Giants, the Washington whatevers, the Patriots, the Panthers, and the Titans. And these teams, they're all 5 or less win teams right here. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about them. They're boring and bad. Moving on, we have the purgatory tier. These are the teams that are just trapped. They're not terrible. They're not great. They can pull off a miracle win over a much better team in some random Week 12 game, but they're not going anywhere in the playoffs. They probably won't reach the playoffs. They shouldn't reach the playoffs. These teams are drafting anywhere from 10 to 20 every single year, and they're just stuck. They're not the best team in their division, and they're nowhere close to ever being the best team in their division. These teams are the Saints, the Broncos, the Vikings, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, and the Chargers. Some of these teams aren't that bad. You know, the Chargers, there's a lot of optimism there, bringing in Harbaugh, but you just can't compete with the Chiefs in that division. You're just trapped. If you're a team in the AFC West, which 3 out of the 4 teams in the AFC West are in this tier, they're all trapped. You're trapped in that division. As far as the Saints go, if you have Derek Carr as your quarterback, your ceiling is mediocrity. The Cardinals are stuck with Kyler Murray in that contract. It's purgatory. And the Vikings, their highest paid player is freaking Justin Jefferson. And he's great. But do you really want him to be your highest paid player? You're trapped. And the Seahawks, they just, year after year with Geno, they just keep running it back. Same thing with Derek Carr. Mediocrity year after year. Purgatory. These teams are all trapped where they are. They're not getting better. They're not getting much worse. They're just there. And next, this is where things start to get a little fun. Something's cooking. We got the Bears, Falcons, Jags, and Colts. Now, the Bears are in the early stages here. You bring in Keenan Allen. DJ Moore is blossoming. Caleb Williams. Let's go, man. Come on. Just pick up where you left off. If you're as good as everybody says you are, which I'm pretty convinced. I think that physically he can do it all. Just gotta fine tune everything, and he can be a real pro. The Bears could be set for the next 10 years, 15 years. The Falcons, you bring in Kirk, give him all this money off the Achilles. I don't love it, but you got a great line. If Kirk can stay healthy and be good on that leg, Kyle Pitts could finally thrive as the player everyone always thought he was. Drake London, he's pretty damn good. And Bijan, of course. Can Bijan in year 2 have the season that everyone thought he was going to have last year? I don't see why not. The Falcons could definitely win that division. The NFC South is not a spectacular division at all. The Jags, they didn't get any better, but it's just the question is, if not now, then when? With Trevor Lawrence, right? You got a quarterback who's supposed to be that good. Either he's just not and he never will be that good, or it's now. The time is now, Trevor. And then the Colts. Anthony Richardson has only played in 4 games. And he has a knack for getting himself beat up. But he also has a lot of ability. He's strong. He's got a cannon. And he can really run. He's got some Josh Allen going on. But Josh Allen's biggest asset is that he's indestructible. So, Anthony Richardson, you got to stay healthy, my friend. Jonathan Taylor, that O-line. Taylor sat out last year early in the season. It was a mess, and then they paid him. This year, he's good to go. You got Michael Pittman. You got some guys on defense and the great line that I already mentioned. Why not Colts? Why can't you be a wild card team? Shane Steichen dialing up offensive plays. What's not to like? Next, we have the breakdancers tier, a term coined by good old Chris Broussard. These are the teams that act tough, but when you're ready to fight, they want to have a dance off instead of a fist fight. These are the Dolphins, Eagles, Cowboys, Steelers, Bills, Browns, and Jets. This is tied for the biggest tier, and it's for a reason, because all of these teams should make the playoffs. All of these teams will be considered Super Bowl contenders by someone in the media. And all of these teams will disappoint and embarrass in the last game that they play of the season. My beloved Cowboys are the perfect example. Them and the Dolphins were Chris Broussard's two favorite breakdancers, but really every team in here is. I mean, if you want to say that the Steelers are not even good enough to be in this tier, I guess that's fair. But if you overachieve every year and make it to the playoffs and then reveal your true colors, to me, that's a breakdancer. And if you want to say the Bills are too good to be in this tier, then why do they keep letting their fans down and disappointing in the biggest moments? Breakdancer. I put the Jets here based on what has yet to come. With Aaron Rodgers, I think that there's just a clear ceiling. You got a guy who's distracted, who's old, very fond of himself. You got a coach in Saleh who's kind of a joke. He's kind of a meme at this point. And the Jets as an organization are just a huge meme as a whole. Let's be real here. The Jets aren't going anywhere. Come on, it's the Jets. Now, from this point on, these teams can make some noise. This next tier, these teams, they got heart. The Rams, the Bucks, the Packers, and the Texans. I'm going to start with the Bucks because I know what everybody's saying. Seriously? The Bucks? But they showed me something last year when they beat the shit out of the Eagles in the wild card. They got heart. Baker Mayfield is probably a mediocre quarterback. But God, does he have heart. They still have the championship blood that Tom Brady brought to them. And if they get into the tournament, they can make some noise. I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl, but they got heart. And I think that they could beat any one of the breakdancers on the previous tier in a game that's do or die. The Rams. They're tough because Aaron Donald retired. This year, we're going to see just how crucial he was to that team. They are going to struggle at creating pressure and stopping the run without him. I mean, all-time great player. Dude's a legend. But Stafford, McVay, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua now, Kyren Williams, I love. This team's got heart, and they got offensive firepower. They could do some damage. And then the Packers. The Packers have the most heart out of any team I saw last year. They had so much heart. They were mediocre, and they just went on this freaking run of magic, led by Jordan Love, and he just got himself the bag because of it. I was kind of disappointed to see Aaron Jones go because I felt like he was at the core of that heart. But it is what it is. They got all those young receivers that are just excellent. And I don't really mean Christian Watson, honestly. He doesn't do anything. So it's the other guys. The other guys do everything. But they just, game after game, they played with so much heart. They pulled up to AT&T Stadium and they just beat the shit out of my Cowboys. They just wanted it so much more. You could feel it right from the get-go. And then the Texans. D'Amico, he might be my favorite new coach. He has got heart. And CJ, and those three stud receivers, Diggs, Collins, and Dell. You bring in Joe Mixon. You have a pretty good defense as it is. Will Anderson going into his second year now. He's emerging as one of the great young pass rushers. What's not to like about the Texans? And then we have the three-peat threats. The Ravens, the Bengals, the Niners, and the Lions. Lamar Jackson is too good to not break through. He will play in a Super Bowl at some point in his career. He's just too good not to. 2 MVPs. He's the greatest dual threat quarterback ever by any statistical metric. The Ravens with Lamar will break through. Question is when. Could it be this year? Could they ruin the three-peat? Potentially. I'm not willing to rule that out. And that brings us to the Bengals, the only team that has proven that they can beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs when it matters. But they're not super reliable either because Joe Burrow is Mr. Glass. So, yes, they have the capability to ruin the three-peat, but I would say it's less than likely that they will. And then there's the 49ers. And let's be real here. The 49ers are going to be worse this year than they were last year. I mean, you can say Purdy will be better, but the Ayuk situation is rough. And right now it's looking like he's going to be gone before the season starts. So I don't think the 49ers have a better chance this year than they did last year. I'm not sure they're the best team in the NFC. They probably are still. I mean, they got an all-star roster. But I just don't think that they can beat the Chiefs. Kyle Shanahan's a choke artist. And then there's the Lions. And honestly, I almost wanted to put them on the they got heart tier because they got heart. Dan Campbell has one big old heart. Don't you just, like, how do you not love that guy? But there's also a ceiling there because Dan Campbell's such an emotional coach, because he is a feelings over logic guy. Your heart, not your head. That's not what you want. That's them going for 2-3 times in a row against the Cowboys and losing because it was just stupid at that point. So, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions don't get back to the conference championship or any further than that anytime soon. That may have been the farthest that they get. But at the same time, I could see them going to the Super Bowl. And I think they could actually beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I would give them a better chance to win that game than the Niners. And then finally, on a tier all by themselves, we have... Oh, wait. Oh, that's right. I skipped a tier to emphasize the gap between the Chiefs and the next best team. And yes, the Chiefs are Mr. Beast. The Chiefs are so far beyond everyone else. It's like if the Chiefs are Mr. Beast with 300 million subscribers, then the 49ers are the next best team. They're me with 123 subscribers. The gap is laughable. It's hilarious.